If God matters, if love your neighbor as yourself matters, if you believe people are going to hell, then I don't understand why this is so hard. I'm not saying it's not hard to aspire towards overcoming your toxicity and your ugliness that's essentially the intrinsic nature of sin, the default of sin. If we're talking about things in a biblical context, if you believe in God, then you believe that by your default, your humanity is going to lean towards sinful proclivity, sinful action, sinful efforts. That being said, the whole point, I love this. Every time you talk to somebody, not every time, but so many times you talk about Jesus and accepting God, Jesus as your Lord and Savior and whatnot. I love how we just ignore everything else in the Bible. There's nothing else to talk about. I accept Jesus, my Lord and Savior. All right, I'm done. La, 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 la. Toxic, toxic, toxic. And I'll define toxic for you. Toxicity is an ugliness. Toxicity is an interest in stepping on another's head to make yourself superior, and slandering and antagonizing and purposefully misunderstanding, and indulgence of hatred as opposed to indulgence of or pursuit of love your neighbor as yourself. You all make God look so bad. Like if there was ever a desire this is why God is important. God is important because a significant amount of people in this country, and I'm talking about like a significant amount of people, claim that God is a factor in their life, claim God informs their decisions, claim that they believe in God. And the God they claim they believe in typically is the one of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's the one that has the Messiah as his son, three gods in one, all that fantastic stuff, the New Testament, all that fantastic stuff. And yet it doesn't matter because no one is challenging anyone on their lack of godliness, on their lack of that pursuit of the Christian spirit and Christian behavior. And the irony is, while historically speaking, Christianity has in fact caused all kinds of problems, and I'm not talking about purely focusing on the biblical text. I'm talking about just the way that human beings have harnessed the word. Wars have been, crusades have been done. I mean, it's not just, it's other religions as well. It's religion in general. Human beings have warped it and distorted it to declare war and to declare conquest over groups of people in the name of the supposed God that wants them to do these supposed things. One second. So my point is, what if people actually started talking about how, if this God that I believe in is going to send me to heaven or hell, is going to send you or not heaven, maybe we should be trying harder to please the supreme being. You try harder to please people on the internet than you do a cosmic universe. Dude, nobody really talks about how preposterous our supposed beliefs are. It's ridiculous. That's why it goes back to James Tallarico. Look James Tallarico up here. James Tallarico is literally the only person thus far that I've seen. Not only just a politician, but the only person, other than I've heard Cornel West speak these sentiments. No matter what kind of human being you are, if you claim you believe in Jesus, your sentiment should be, I understand that there are Asian people and Indian people and Black people and Sri Lankan people and Chinese and Korean and African and Caucasian. That being said, God does not see us that way. God did not create us for us to be fixated on surface level, skin level factors. And it's just, and also, it's also funny. Racism is a joke in 2026, man. No matter how many black people you claim are awful, you know you've met awesome black people, or even you've seen them freaking through this little thing we call the phone. If you hate white people all day, you've seen awesome white people, you've read about them. No matter what race you claim you hate, it's just a joke. People want to talk about Indian scammers, but there's all these Indian doctors. Like, just stop the nonsense. There's awful people in every group. And right now, this is not a historical instance of we can't. This obsession with race is particularly nonsensical because we're all in this thing now. Like, however it happened, we're here now. We're not in our bubble. We're not in our, even though as much as people try to sequester themselves and there's now, mother effers want to create spaces for their people only and all that. Fantastic. The bottom line is the vast majority of us are integrated. And clearly there's people that wish it wasn't like that. But the fact is, it is like that. We integrated and you got to make a decision. Do you superficially care only, and you're not going to seek to be better, to transcend, to evolve, to be above that base human instinct of pattern recognition and discriminatory desire for the sake of making yourself feel better about yourself? I have zero interest in making none of my sense of self-esteem. Not 1 ounce of my self-esteem comes from me looking at any group of people and thinking they're inferior, so therefore I'm superior. I don't think in terms of superior, inferior when it comes to a person in their entirety, especially if it comes to a person just off the basis of race or gender. That's just completely just unacceptable because because it doesn't make sense. It's not even also like it's asinine to make an immediate conclusion of a person simply based off the color of their skin. We're now dealing with, like, you are purposefully embracing the brain's desire to be an extremely lazy thinker. Now, if you say these people from this area, these people from this area, these people from this area, whether white or black, Asian or Hispanic, and you see, okay, yeah, but that's different from saying a person with a skin color is therefore X, Y, and Z. Because that's not, it's about the nuance, which is gone. And then even then, there should be a broader discussion. Even then, no one is righteous. No, not one. White people are not righteous. Black people are not righteous. Hispanic people are not righteous. Nobody is, when I say righteous, I mean perfect. I mean, within their own group, because if anybody wants to consider themselves a part of a group, I consider myself on a fucking island, to be quite frank with you. I'm one drop rule black, and that's what I will forever be in my own mind. Now there's all these people want to, even black people want to now characterize black as this and that is this. My definition of black is any amount of African ancestry that is perceivable through your biological characteristics. And that's what it was growing up. That's how I grew up. I grew up no matter how light skinned you were or how dark you were both black. New Orleans still had colorism. They still had this light skin shit, dark skin shit, but it was never a discussion. Drake comes around, that dude black. If a dude look like Drake, automatically he black. Mariah Carey looking girls around, she black. There's no thought about it. She might be light skinned. They might be, somebody could be the whitest skin in the world. But if they have clearly, African influenced genetics where, that's seen in their lips and their nose and this and that and whatever, then you black. In your voice, you black. It's that simple. And the thing is, I think that the one drop rule had the purpose of the one drop rule was obviously completely perverted, and it was an attempt to oppress and to keep the purity of white America and to have everything that wasn't purely white as just something else, as just it was an interest in maintaining an otherism. The thing is that it had a massive benefit unintentionally. And that massive benefit was we black people were not bogged down in the fucking semantics as to what is black. It was very much so understood that black did not mean a color. Now I see everybody, and even black people, especially younger ones, act as if black is a color, is purely just literally a color. Somebody's like was like, oh, you're not black. And I don't even see other black people comment on like, yeah, they're not. It never mattered. The color, it wasn't about color. It was about African ancestry. No matter how mixed you were, you could be motherfucking 60% European. If you're 40% African, you black. And the thing is, that was beneficial because we don't need to be concerned about the fucking right down to the decimal point of a percentage of our mixtures. Cool. You want to talk? I mean, if you want to, hey, characterize yourself as whatever you want to characterize yourself. I have no qualms with somebody, especially now. I'm not gonna lie. I did have like at first it was just also new to me when people wanted to like break them. When I see people wanting to like break down their racial heritage, as opposed to just supposed to the oversimplification that the one drop rule allotted, which was to say that I don't like, okay, you this, you that, you that, you this, but you black. What are we talking about? Now black is something else to many black people, even to other people. It's like, all right, fine, whatever. Y'all can think whatever y'all want. I'm one drop rule black and I'm staying that way because I think that we don't need to be, I mean, listen, essentially white America has done that with, initially Italians were discriminated against, Irish people were discriminated against, but eventually what happened with the otherism? Since people of color were the ones discriminated, like with this otherism shit, eventually there was an assimilation that occurred with Irish, with Italian, to where it was like, just, it doesn't really fucking matter. Yeah, I'm white, but they could talk about how I'm Irish and this and that, but essentially, yeah, I'm white. Yeah, I'm white. Even though to me, I still like, anyway, like I even see whiteness, it's funny, I see British whiteness differently. I almost can always tell when somebody is non-American white. That's literally what I have to say. Sometimes I describe somebody as non-American white because non-American quote unquote white people to me look dramatically different. Like, but no one tends to pay attention. Like a lot of actors, sometimes when they have, even though they do American accents very well, I'm just looking at their face and I'm like, they don't look American white to me at all. Sometimes, like very rarely, I'm surprised, like, okay, they're American. But sometimes it's like, yep, I knew it. They were Australian. Yep, I knew it. They were British because they don't look like American white. And, but anyway, but all that to say, this race shit is stupid. Bottom line, you know what's funny? I'm talking about race. Race is a joke. And I know that we have to approach race and talk about it, especially when there are forces that are utilizing race as a factor to engage in malicious behavior. Yes, now we got to talk about race and how race is being used and weaponized. But when, let's say everything was perfect politically, right? And nothing was going on with it, like any kind of no kind of political influence was happening. Well, let's say that's just snap that away right quick. My point is, we are in the fucking future right now. Like we are very much so living in the future. And what I mean by that is our technological advancements are for sure outpacing our maturity and our wisdom and our growth. And my point, we need to be evolving. And one of the ways in which we need to be evolving is one of the ways that should have been this entire time. Like the fact that my father growing up had to sit in the back of a church, like that doesn't make any sense. If you believe it, like, it's just like, it's a joke that one can indulge their racist inclinations, but at the same time claim they believe in a cosmic being. I wish that we were harder on ourselves and talked about how, you know what, all this men, women shit, this race shit, what if we all sought to have a collective mentality that transcended that, which would be what? I got to go back to love your neighbor as yourself, because that's what it's all about. You want to be treated how you would treat yourself. You want to be treated well, that is to say. You would like to be treated well. And you would like to be treated well despite what your orientation is. Despite how you look, you would like to be treated well. Despite who you're attracted to, you would like to be treated well. And this is not unreasonable. This is not unreasonable. It's just our focus it tends to be on such nonsense that is highly unlikely and it's highly improbable we'll get there, because human beings, we're enablers of each other. And if nobody is setting that high bar and that high standard and saying, I want to walk that holy path, which is to say, race and stuff might matter to you, might matter to me. It doesn't matter to me, but race might matter to you when it comes to your romantic partner or who you want to be friends with. Okay. Or like who you want close in your life and all that. Fine. Gender might matter to you for X, Y, and Z, ABC. Fine. But when I'm talking about just generic, we're all strangers to each other for the most part. When it comes to our treatment of strangers and our comprehension of strangers, we do need to be offering each other way more grace. But it's a can't beat them, join them kind of atmosphere. And that's how it's been incrementally becoming. It's like, I see hate, so let me participate in hate. We are so quick to be antagonistic. But that's because people are insecure as hell. They're miserable as hell. They're unhappy as hell. And misery loves company. It sucks, man. This is all these variables, but we don't want to have church. Church is what? Church is this. Church is talking about it. Church is being reinforced. As I always say, the purpose of church is not necessarily for a person who already accepted Jesus, for a person who already believes in God, for a person who already prays every night. The purpose of church is not for that person to go on Sunday and to then believe in God again. It's simply to commune with those who are of basically a similar ilk, and also to reinforce what's already there. You need that reinforcement. It helps. It's kind of like conditioning. You work out, you get your muscles strong, you got to condition them or they atrophy. You keep reading and that's fantastic. You stop reading, there's going to be an atrophy of that capacity, of that ability eventually. That's just the name of the game when it comes to the physics of our humanity. So with regards to the physics of our humanity as it pertains to this thing we call the soul, we're doing nothing to nourish the soul. We're doing nothing. That soul has atrophied. It's out the building. I would argue that most people, generically speaking, have sold their soul for this to kneel before the altar of man's game. Everybody claims they want something deeper. Really, what they want is stuff. Really, what they want is just empty, hollow praise, admiration, the center of the universe, sort of sycophancy, kind of just like prostrating. Please, because I'm beautiful. Please, because I'm just this. I'm just that. We're not really looking for a connection, and a connection can only be found firstly from I don't know. I couldn't connect with a person whose interest is just to give a damn about. Yeah, so, all cares about just, looking good and blah, blah, blah. What, if we're not talking about that which is meaningful to us at a deeper level, I don't know how we can expect to connect. And what's the deeper level? I'm going to give you the deeper level. The deeper level is we're all going to die. And if we're all going to die, what do we therefore want from each other? That stuff ain't going with you, man. And if your choice is, I want to live a materialistic ass life, then I wish people would just say so. But that's not what people say. People claim they want deeper, but they're still only pursuing the shallow. The shallow being just looks, the shallow being just stuff, the shallow just being hollow, superficial connections where nobody really wants to speak from their heart and their mind, and be patient and understand that to have feelings doesn't necessarily mean that your feelings are accurate all the time. I see a lot of emotionalism, by the way, in our current atmosphere. And again, take the politics out of it for a second. Let's say everything was good with that. I'm saying I still see that, because the reason that I've seen that recently within the recent years is because there's no suggested standard of reasonability. I don't see reasonability put on the pedestal. Thank God reasonability still exists with something like a surgeon or something. But I'm talking about we don't understand and comprehend the purpose of reasonability when it comes to us just being connected with each other. Because if we will care more about being reasonable, we would then be like, maybe I should be asking deeper questions of the people that I care about. Maybe I should truly try to understand what makes them tick, and just for a moment not be judgmental, and have that reciprocity there, and not care about winning, not care about looking stupid, not care about my self-esteem, not care about my supposed anxiety, not care about any of this. Just be psychologically and emotionally naked for a second, and also be willing to admit, man, I'm a fool. That's the other element missing. You know why people can't connect? Because you can't get past yourself. Where mother effers out here, man, are just so unwilling to see the fool within them, which is just, again, so contradictory to the spirit of the Bible, which is just